Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. It's been a confusing last few days for me. A lot of different things that happened over the last couple of days within the UFO disclosure effort, discussion, news, whatever you want to say. Right, a lot of different things have happened over the last few days, and it really has me thinking. And I don't know what I still don't. I haven't reached any sort of conclusion or consensus, or I don't know. I don't know what's going on sometimes. Let's just put it that way. I'm not sure what's really going on sometimes. I really don't. I just want to say this before I even get started here. I just want to point out some things, and then we'll take it from there, and just lay it all out. We'll lay out everything that's happened over the last few days. I just want to point out that I was a newspaper reporter for about 14 years at various different newspapers, two newspapers in Pennsylvania. I went back and forth. I worked at one, and then I went to this other one. Then I went back to the old one again that I started off at. And then from there, I actually ended up moving from Pennsylvania to Iowa. And I was in Iowa at a newspaper called the Hawkeye in Burlington. And I was there for 5.5 years. And then from there, I moved to Hawaii, and I worked on the Big Island, working for West Hawaii Today. I was covering in all of these situations, I was basically covering the government. I was covering county government, city governments, that kind of stuff. I would do some investigative journalism a lot. There was a lot of different things I did, but most of it was focused on government, budgets, things like that, all kinds of boring stuff. But there was exciting things, too. There was a lot of things I had to dig deep into, like a lot of investigative journalist type of stuff. Like, for instance, the one time when I was in Iowa, I got wind of the mayor was drunk and fell asleep in his car in the Burger King parking lot. And then the police contacted the manager, the city manager, and they just let him go away scot-free. You know, if it had been anyone else, right, we would have been sleeping it off in the drunk tank and getting charged with DUI. But no, they let him go home because he was the mayor. So it took about a week, but I dug it up. I dug it all out, and I remember it was a Thanksgiving Day on the top page, top of the fold. Mayor found drunk in parking lot and let go, something to that effect. That's the kind of stuff I would do sometimes. I really, really tried, and I really, really was a stickler to trying to get things right. Right, I really, really, truly was. I mean, I always have been. I don't like being wrong. There was times when there was mistakes made, and I would feel like the world was coming to an end. That's how bad. If I had to put a correction in the newspaper, it was. I felt it. I knew it was necessary, but I always wanted to be right. And that's how it was for over those 14 years, and here now, since I started doing this podcast 4 years ago, it's mostly opinion, right? For the most part, a lot of it's just my opinion, my beliefs, right? My concerns, my knowledge about this whole phenomenon, like my own experiences, and there is some sort of investigations that I do sometimes, and particularly with the Las Vegas alien incident. To me, it's like the biggest story of all time. And I would not be talking about this. I just want to make this really clear to everyone, right? I would not be talking about this and I wouldn't be pushing it all the time if I didn't know I was right. I know that I'm right, right? I know that I'm right. And I know that there's a lot of people. For one thing, the debunkers, what else do you expect? You really can't, what could you say? That's what they do, right? But in this case, they won't even try to debunk it. All they'll do is ridicule it. They won't even try to debunk it. And that's fine, because they don't have anything. They're just hollow shells running around, Some of them are useful idiots, and I'm sure some of them are working for the government or something else. Some of them have agendas. There's no question about it in my mind. But on the flip side of that coin, you have the UFO community itself. This story is being suppressed. It's being suppressed. I mean, just about everybody that finds my channels, miraculously somehow, my podcast, and starts listening to some of the things I've been talking about, just about everybody who finds it, they say they can't believe that this is not being talked. I get a lot of that all the time. In fact, I'll read some of the comments later on. But there's a lot of people cannot believe that the rest of the world doesn't know about this. What are you going to do? But here we go. Like, just the last show that I did was I worked all day on Wednesday because I knew the second was the 2-year anniversary of the Las Vegas alien incident. So I worked. I wrote a script out. I recorded the narration, then I had to piece, videos together throughout. It took me like 16 hours. I spent the whole day. I don't think I got done till like 3 o'clock in the morning. And even after I did get done, I had to go back in because there was other mistakes. There was a mistake that was made in there, and I had to go in and make corrections on both of the versions, the Spotify and the YouTube version. I don't like mistakes. I want to be correct. I want to tell people the exact what we know, what we could say for sure. And that's what I've been doing the whole time. I'm only saying what we could say for sure, right? And what I've been saying is correct. I know it's correct. But yet it's, for some reason, some people, the big names in the UFO community, just failed to talk about this. If they did, right, then this is the end. I mean, that would be it. There's no coming back for the debunkers on this. You could use this Vegas case as a club to beat them away, to knock them into oblivion. It blows them out of the water. They just don't have a comeback for it. They just how could you come back with all of that evidence that we find in that case? You just can't. It's done. It's over. Like we've been saying for over a year now. But still, to this point, no one's none of the big names in the UFO community seem to care to talk about this. Just for instance, a few days ago on Cosmic Road, Jon Stewart, the UFO investigator, not the comedian, was on there, and he said that he had sent a email message to George Knapp recently, who lives in Las Vegas. You know, that's where he's from. That's KLAS is where he's been working all these years. And he's not interested in looking into this story. There's nothing to look into. He tried to talk to the people. They didn't want to talk to him, and so he just let it go. He didn't bother to look at all the other evidence. I find this hard to believe. I find it hard to believe an investigative journalist like George Knapp, who's been talking about this for years, who was the person who brought us all Bob Lazar back in the 80s, showed us Bob Lazar and talked about the things that Bob Lazar told him and shared it with the rest of the world. I mean, this is George Knapp. I mean, this guy's a legend. Yet he doesn't see any kind of merit in this Las Vegas case, where you have, but at the same time, how could he not? How could nobody have any sort of interest in this? Like, especially someone like George Knapp, but he doesn't. Jeremy Corbell last year, he brought it up on his show one time, and I did talk about this before. He said that he thinks discussion of things like the Vegas alien incident, along with the Peru mummies, he says that those things are harmful to the discussion for some reason. Lue Elizondo doesn't talk about it at all. And James Fox, I actually tried to let him know. I actually was in a chat with him, and I talked to him at one point. I tried to impress upon him the significance of this case, and he said some police officer in Las Vegas told him there's nothing to it, so he just went by that one guy and just walked away. I don't know what's going on here, right? But anyway, in that episode that I did, toward the end, I pointed out like how Lue Elizondo would be better served by latching on to this Vegas case, because there's no one could debunk it. That's impossible. I mean, this really happened. There were really aliens that were there, and we have the evidence. We have the proof. We have the analysis from experts. It's over. But he doesn't talk about it. Instead, what I talked about in the end of that episode was when he showed that picture of the reflection of the chandelier on the window, and he was trying to say that he was told from a reliable source that it was an alien mothership. And it was like almost instantly debunked. And I mentioned that in that episode. And then I uploaded it. It was very early in the morning on Thursday morning, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 in the morning when Eastern time, when I uploaded that episode. And then I finally went to bed. And I didn't sleep that much. I didn't sleep that long. And then I got up, and then I saw that UAP Disclosure Fund panel with the Congress people. And I saw that Lue put that picture out. And when I first saw the picture, I thought, yeah, okay, that looks pretty neat. And then within an hour after that, I saw that Mick West, he comes out and he basically plausibly debunked it. I mean, it was what was in that picture is just irrigation circles on a farm field. And so this caused a big hoopla. And then you have basically what it does, what that did was it opened it up to all of these people coming out and saying this is nonsense. I mean, look what he's doing, this and that. Basically, it was almost like Lue handed the debunkers a razor blade and said, "Here's my jugular right here." That's what it was like. That's what it's tantamount to, as far as I could see. Now, of course, Lue did come back on Friday, and he had a really good explanation for why. He really didn't make a mistake here, he said. And we'll get into all of that. But at the same time, right, why is it okay? Okay, he was handed that photo just that day, and he brought it up as an example. He's just talking about an example. I understand, right? But why has he never latched on to this Vegas case? I don't understand it. And actually, before he provided that explanation for it, I had all kinds of ideas running through my head. Like, what in the hell is going on here? I'm wondering. Is this entire thing with all of this stuff we see on the internet with all of these people fighting? Is a lot of this just like World Wrestling Federation stuff? And really behind the scenes, they're all buddies or something? Because that's what these are the kinds of things that were running through my head. I mean, just think about it. Was it a week or 2 weeks ago, I think it was, where Corbell and Knapp really show this leaked Pentagon video, another leaked video from the USS Jackson that shows an anomalous object hovering out over the ocean. It was going in and out of the water, moving around. I mean, obviously, it looked like something anomalous. There was no explanation for it. In fact, Mick West, to this point, has not provided any sort of plausible explanation for it. But then Lue comes out with that picture, and then the next thing you know, it's like, oh, Nick West does have, now here he debunks this one successfully. It's like this dumb game of chess, right? It's okay, here we got you on this one, but you got us on that one. It's just this back and forth with basically nothing. We have whistleblowers, which is appreciated, right? But none of them to this point has ever showed any sort of evidence. Nothing, absolutely nothing to this point. All we've gotten are words, just words. Now, I thought was interesting on Thursday is the fact that, Dr. Eric Davis, the famous Dr. Eric Davis of the famous Davis-Wilson memorandum, of course, talking to people in Congress, talking about the different species of aliens. I mean, that's kinds of exciting stuff. But that got shadowed because of what happened with that picture and the way the internet reacts to these kind of errors. And it's unbelievable to me. We're not getting anywhere. We're just spinning our freaking wheels here. When you have the absolute proof right in your face and you're not doing anything with it. But anyway, let's go through what happened here. Okay, yeah, it started off, on Thursday, there was this image. I mean, we see this image here. A brand new photo of a giant UFO released by Lue Elizondo during the UAP DF panel. Apparently, this craft was 600 to 1,000 feet in diameter. Thoughts? And then, of course, Mick West comes back within a couple hours, actually, and he debunked it. Said it was, all it is, it's just irrigation circles. And he's right. And then you have other debunkers getting behind him and just slamming Lue for basically a whole day, all of Thursday, all the way into Friday, no real answers. It was a back and forth, a big debate online, a big fight between the people who believe and know that this is real and these idiots who are trying to tell you it's not. It's just this big fight nothing goes anywhere. It's just incredible to me. But anyway, you have like people like this Jason Colavito. This guy is awful. He's awful. What did he write? He says, and this is how this is how they lay it out for their followers. He says, with every new piece of evidence the major ufologists present, we come ever closer to proving that ufology is nothing more than believers interpreting their own ignorance through a lens of mid-century science fiction mythology. They see what they want to believe. This guy's a freaking jackass. This guy's a dope, but see, here's the problem, is that because this picture was nothing, right? This is what happens. And then a lot of people see this and then they just think, there's nothing to it. Look at this. This is all a joke. That's what happens. Some people have attention spans of a gnat. Right, most people do. They're not paying that much close attention. If you're trying to get any new people and interested in this, we're not going to get them interested in it by doing things like this, and then basically allowing these debunkers to come forward and then make statements like this. So that just went on and on and on and on, and then finally, Lue did come back and he talked about what really happened. Here's what he wrote. He says, as you know, I am always first to admit mistakes, but this is not one of those times. The facts regarding the photo I shared from a private pilot, as I emphasized several times yesterday during the forum, are as follows. 1, the specific photo had only just been provided to me by a private pilot that morning prior to the forum. 2, the photo had not yet been vetted. 3, the dimensions I quoted were per the pilot's own assessment of what he saw based on altitude and experience. The purpose of me showing the photo was to illustrate the need for civilian and commercial pilots to have a central reporting mechanism to report potential anomalous sightings. In this case, the pilot who took the photo using his own camera did not have a way to report what he believed was anomalous. Once again, as I stated during the forum, I only received permission to release it that morning and only was made aware of it shortly before. Not sure how many times I need to say it, so I will say it again. The photo was not yet vetted, and I made that perfectly clear. This illustrates a bigger point here. When pilots, or anyone else for that matter, come out to share what they feel may be anomalous, are faced with fierce ridicule instead of productive dialogue from some in the UFO community, they learn quickly not to ever share again. As I communicated during the forum, my purpose of sharing the photo was to simply illustrate there is no central reporting mechanism in place for private and commercial pilots to report what they believe might be anomalous and for these photos or videos to be vetted. This remains a serious issue. Pilots see things on a daily basis they can't explain, some identified, some misidentified, and some truly anomalous that require additional analysis. In the end, whether a private pilot sees what turns out to be a cloud, a balloon, a tennis shoe, or a UAP, we need a reporting mechanism to ensure it can be analyzed and resolved. This was the reason I shared the photo, and I emphasized that several times during the forum. I could have used a photo of an inner tube to prove my point, but I used instead a real photo taken by a real pilot of something he thought was anomalous, which I emphasized had not been analyzed yet. The ones who are screaming about it instead of discussing it respectfully, as I hoped, missed the entire point of the photo and are not helping other pilots in the future from coming forward. Okay, you got to remember though, here's the problem. I mean, you if you're going to present something that could be debunked within an hour like this, right? This is what we're going to get with these people. These people are, these are not the debunkers, right? These people are not honest actors. Mick West is not an honest actor. He's just not. I mean, obviously he's not. He turned down the $5,000 to analyze the Vegas incident. He can't do it. He can't analyze it. He's incapable of it. All of them are. All they're able to do, right? The only option they have is to ridicule. That's all they have. That's all they got. They got nothing else. All they have is character assassination. That's all they have in their corner. That's nothing else. That's all they got. And all this does is just makes it worse. It made it worse. It would have been better off not showing anything. It would have been better off just talking about some of the issues pilots have rather than show a picture that could be easily debunked that was just handed to you earlier in the day. I say it is a mistake. In my mind, it was a mistake. Okay, I just want to share now. Here was some of the other reactions. Of course, we know I'm not going to go through what all the debunkers are saying. We all know what they're going to say, right? But here was somebody, Jason Wild. This guy's an experience. Yeah, he's an experiencer just like me, all right? And he writes this, and this was his observation. He says, and this is from X. He says, "Let's talk about what I call the Elizondo paradox, the strange reality where the face of UAP disclosure keeps making unforced errors, drops questionable evidence, contradicts himself, and still gets followed like a prophet. No hate, no conspiracy smear, just real talk. This guy says he's here to bring us the truth, but can't seem to properly vet a single photo. First it was a UFO that turned out to be a chandelier reflection. Then it was a massive 600-foot craft that turned out to be an irrigation circle on Google Earth. That's not disclosure, that's misdirection, intentional or not. Here's the paradox. He still has security clearance. He's still tied to the defense community. He still says, I can't talk about that every time he's asked something real. Yet he gets paraded out on shows, podcasts, panels, and Congress hearings like he's the chosen one. And every single time the takeaway is the same. We're getting closer, but not quite yet. That's the script. That's the rhythm. Keep hope alive, but never deliver. It's disclosure theater. Now, let me ask you this. If someone repeatedly showed you blurry photos of Bigfoot, promised you it was real, but every time it turned out to be a bear, a costume, or a tree stump, how many times would you go back to them as a credible source? Once, twice, maybe? But after the third or fourth time, you'd call it what it is, either delusion or manipulation. But with Elizondo, people keep going back. They treat him like a spiritual guide rather than someone who needs to show real receipts. That's not curiosity, that's cultic behavior. People are desperate for the truth. They want a good guy in the system. They want to believe there's someone brave enough to blow the whistle. But belief without discernment is just another trap. You can't keep brushing off mistakes as oopsies or, well, he's doing his best. If disclosure hinges on this level of sloppiness, then maybe what we're looking at isn't disclosure disclosure at all, but controlled chaos meant to dilute the signal, not reveal it. It's time we step back and ask, are we being slowly conditioned to accept confusion as progress? Because the more I watch this play out, the more it looks like we're being managed, not informed. The Elizondo paradox isn't just about one man, it's about how easily truth gets replaced by narrative, how incompetence gets mistaken for secrecy, and how hope, when weaponized, becomes the most effective form of control. I thought that was, these are some of the ideas, some of the thoughts that were throwing through my head before I even read this. I mean, I can't help it. I'm just being truthful. I'm a big fan of these people. I want to see them succeed. But how are they going to succeed when this kind of thing happens again and again? And again, from my point of view, I had just talked about this. I had just mentioned it again. I pointed it out that wouldn't it be better to get behind some real evidence, something that actually proves that the point you're trying to make, rather than playing this game? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like we're being gaslighted. That's what's happening from both sides. I've said this recently, and that's what's happening. I don't know why, but this is what's going on. They had, I think what it possibly might be, they all might be working together for all we know. How do we know? I don't know. Maybe all of these people are buddies behind the scenes. That's what it could be. I don't know. This is what the kind of speculation that comes to mind when things like this happen. It's just to keep everyone engaged. Okay, there's all this fighting going on about UFOs, but nobody's ever right in the end, right? Except for the Vegas alien incident. That's the only one that really shows it. Or, for instance, or the other one, that there's a lot of scientists, right? A lot of people, experts, are telling us that these bodies down in that were discovered in Nazca they're not human. They're non-human, and they've been there for over 1,000 years. That's what they're saying. There's a lot of things going on, but they don't want to talk about those things. They want to keep it to this little battle going on. Anyway, okay, now, I know, again, I don't know what to say about it. I just think that it's a big mistake to move forward this way. This isn't working. This is just the same old spinning the wheels kind of thing. Everything that's happening right now is stuff that happened a year ago and 2 years ago. It's like we're stuck we're like stuck in tree sap or something. We're not moving anywhere. It's just like this battle going back and forth. Okay, this week Mick West is right. Next week Marek von Rennenkamp is right. The week after that, Jeremy Corbell is right. The week after that, Jason Colavito is right. The week after that, I mean, it's just so on and so forth. I mean, it's ridiculous at this point. And then the rest of us are sitting here watching this whole thing play out, and it's like at this point, I'm like, what in the hell is going on? Again, like I said earlier, I've been a reporter for a long time, and I know I'm right. I know I am, but it's not being taken seriously. No one's paying attention to this for some reason. They're poo-poo. Oh, no, there's nothing to that. Everyone in this, on either side. It's not just the debunkers. It's the people in the middle, like John Greenwald. I had a big argument with him recently on here. Anyway, I'm going to read this. I'm not going to provide any commentary. I'm just going to read this little thing here from Tom Thompson on Twitter, or Cortex Zero. I just want to read this. He wrote this just today. Over these past 6 or 7 months, I've found myself on the receiving end of several quiet, off-the-record conversations. Each one went from someone I hold in high regard. These individuals don't communicate with one another, yet somehow they echo the same warning. A non-human intelligence isn't just observing us from the margins, it's already here, walking among us. But that wasn't the part that gave me pause. What unsettled me was what came next. This intelligence has infiltrated. It has embedded itself, not just among individuals, but within the architecture of power itself, woven into our institutions, seated in the silent gears of civilization. But what the hell does that really mean? Depending on how you tilt your perspective, it could point in several directions, some within the bounds of speculation, others skirting the edges of nightmare. For months I kept this to myself because the moment you breathe life into these words, you risk triggering the old deflection. Oh, so you believe lizard people run the government. Cue the laughter, the eye rolls, the memification of mystery. But maybe that's not just a reaction. Maybe it's a weapon. Ridicule has always been the great eraser. If something truly disturbing were unfolding in plain sight, turning it into a joke might be the most brilliant camouflage of all. Even truth can be made invisible if you teach people to laugh at it. I'm not here to tell you I believe this. I'm not here to tell you I don't. Belief to me comes later after I do my work. Whenever something like this crosses my desk, I hold it up to the light and examine it from every angle. If the right conditions are met, if it passes through certain filters I've learned to trust, then and only then will I offer a fully formed opinion. Until that point, I'm simply relaying what I've received. Nothing more, nothing less. Call it a placeholder for truth, one that awaits verification or otherwise. I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to share that. Now, meanwhile, like I've been talking about how I've been trying to talk, here's what I thought. I'm going to say it. I know I've said this before. I'm going to say it again because it's all I can do. I'm just trying to lay it out there. A year ago when Scott Roeder came on the show, I knew that this was I knew that the reporting was correct. I knew that this showed that this provided the proof. This shows that there was something that there's no questioning it anymore. There's no questioning it. There's something here, no doubt about it. And this would prove to everyone out there, if it was presented to them, that we're not alone. And I thought for sure. I thought after we had that presentation that the UFO community, a lot of people would have, talked about it. A lot of the big names would have brought it forward. I thought it would have been something that would have been discussed on news channels. I mean, there was a little bit of that, but not nearly enough. And most of the people in the UFO community, the people who we are familiar with, the bigger names, just totally ignored it. They didn't talk about it. I guess there's so much stuff going out there. They just thought, oh, that just sounds silly. I think a lot of them haven't even looked at it. That's what I think. But whatever the case, right? But I really thought that something was going to happen. I thought that after that was presented, that other people would be picking up the ball and carrying it. People who had clout, right? Because I don't have any clout. I don't have a big following, right? I thought that people with clout would have picked it up and ran with that ball, but that has not happened. Instead, I got you get ridicule or just ignorance or just dismissal. I mean, and there's no explanation, right? None at all. You just calling you're stupid or things like that, even though I have experts telling us, going through it step by step. If you saw that previous show, I went through the whole thing basically. There were still things I didn't talk about. There were still things I missed, right, with regards to that case. There's no question about this. But some people over this time, sometimes you get followers who come around, actually, people who didn't believe it, and then they change their minds. It happens all the time. Here was a guy, there was a different episode I did recently where I plugged all this information into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT in the end determined that it was greater than a 99% chance of being real. Within the next few days, all of a sudden I noticed a lot of debunkers start talking about how ChatGPT tells you lies all the time. Didn't bring up my story or nothing, but they talked about how they bring up lies. I know that there's people paying attention to the things I'm talking about. They are, but they don't want this to go any further than it is right now. That's what's happening. They're not ready. The agenda, whatever agenda they have, right, that doesn't include this story moving forward anytime soon, right? They want to keep it right where it's at, buried. That's what they're trying to do. But it doesn't matter. Like somebody did put a comment on here regarding that ChatGPT episode. Somebody had commented that ChatGPT, they could just lie. They'll agree with you, and all that kind of stuff. Well, I said, well, obviously ChatGPT was right this time because I already knew the answers to a lot of the questions that I put in there. I already knew the answers, and they just confirmed it for me without me providing the answer for them. It gave me the answer after I plugged in the information. And a lot of times I played devil's advocate, and it still came to the proper conclusion. But that doesn't matter. What doesn't matter what ChatGPT says, really, in the end. It doesn't really matter. This story was already proved. This case is proven beyond any reasonable doubt. But yeah, this is where we're at. But anyway, let's go through some of the comments I received. A lot of the people who comment on this say that they're surprised. For instance, here on Spotify, just today I received a comment, and this was from someone who is not 100% there yet, but he cannot believe that the world is not talking about this. Jonathan Weigel on Spotify wrote this. He says, I don't understand how this incident is not being talked about more. It's astounding. Either our media is really not doing its job, or there's a cover-up going on. Even if it's not 100% NHI, it should be talked about. Personally, I am still not 100% convinced, but it's definitely the best case that supports the NHI theory we have in history, considering all the footage, audio, etc. Nothing compares to that. So anyway, that's where we are with this stuff right now, folks. I don't know what to say about it. It's very upsetting to me. This debate's over. I mean, all of this stuff is all theater to me at this point. I don't know, is it World Wrestling Federation kind of crap? That's what it feels like. I mean, is all of it staged? You know, I mean, you know, 1 week it's gonna be like, hold on, let's try this. Let's try let me demonstrate what I think is going on. You ever see when the wrestlers, you know, are getting interviewed a week before the match, and they're talking crap about their opponent? You know, is that how it is? It's like, yes, Mick West, I'm gonna show you what real UFOs look like. And then the week after that, Mick West comes back. I heard he was talking about me, and he says all of my analysis is incorrect. He's stupid. I mean, this is what it feels like. I mean, it's it's like theater. It's like wrestling theater. A bunch of actors going back and forth with each other. That's what it's starting to look like to a lot of people out there. A lot of people are confused out there. I'm going to tell you right now. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You know, it's time that you know, people take this seriously. I mean, we should be at a different level right now. The scientific community should be brought in, and the only way you bring the scientific community is you get rid of the stigma. The only way you get rid of the stigma is you talk about the absolute proof, right? And then there is no stigma. How could you have a stigma when you can say, look, what are you talking about? You're the one who's stupid, because how can you not accept these facts right here? So, but it's not happening. Who knows? I mean, maybe they view it as catastrophic disclosure. All I know is something's going on behind the scenes. I don't know what it is. All of this is speculation. I can't tell you what the answer is. I just know that we're being gaslighted from both directions. That's all I could say. Anyway, I want to say this. Thank you all for joining me today. Until next time.